Greetings, technology enthusiasts. I am Chandrahas and I am delighted to be here with you representing CyberBrainer. Do you not believe that the technology sector is advancing at an unprecedented rate, making this an opportune moment to acquire the skills that will facilitate your progress? With CyberBrainer, we are empowering you to take control of your own future. At CyberBrainer, we do not merely impart your interests. We assert that information is power, yet it is the application of knowledge that distinguishes you. Our courses are meant to equip you with essential skills, whether you are pursuing data science, understanding artificial intelligence, or delving into cybersecurity. Let us commence the session and seize the future today. Thank you.
What the time tracking and absence is actually evergreen. Time tracking and absence will be always evergreen because none a company would not terminate or would not lay off any of the consultant who is actually superior in time tracking and absence because every company manages that and based on that the payroll runs. These two modules are always connected with each other because they are highly dependent on payroll. This is something that is going to be evergreen all around. And what are the things that we're going to learn in this course would be, first, what is time tracking? How time tracking works in Workday? How it is different from other time tracking? What are the industry standards that we are following? How to do time tracking? What are the impacts of time tracking? How it is cross-functional? I don't go through presentations. I directly show the things in tenant itself. You must have seen that. You can see this is a Workday tenant. And you see this is the landing page. We call it as the landing page homepage. On the top right section, you see a woman on the photo. That is the profile icon. On the bottom, you see the search bar. On the bottom, you see the search bar. On the middle, you see the search bar, and the bottom, you see all the activities. That is known as the activity section. What we are going to learn in this session would be what is time tracking, why time tracking is essential, and why it has been given much of importance in Workday that this model is evergreen. In ancient times, let's start from the ancient time. Are you able to hear me? You have workers in your organization and you're paying the workers in your organization and you want to know if they are working or not. There are two modes of tracking. One is pen paper sign that they are present and they have worked. And the second one is counting the hours. And by that you measure the efficiency of that worker. Alright? This is the way like the work industry. Time tracking is essentially in such a way that the first thing the organization evaluates from the time tracking is what is the efficiency of a worker. For a project, whenever any interviewer asks what is the importance of time tracking in industries, the answers shall be that what is the efficiency of a worker, what is the bandwidth of a worker, and how the worker is performing. If a worker is entering the full time, which means the worker bandwidth is very tight. Worker efficiency is very good and worker is occupied, which means you can measure the company's growth and companies. The project is going on a good direction. This is the hypothetical way of measure in work environment. That is the first thing. Alright, the second thing from this, what we can understand like time tracking actually. There are two modes of worker in all over the world. Two modes of worker. One is your contract worker who are paid based on the hours. And second one is your salaried worker. They are not paid. They are not paid based on the hours. Correct. 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 Salaried worker. Contract are always paid based on our hours. Correct. Alright. And the second one is salary. Like you get fixed salary. Every month you will get 5,000, means 5,000 whether you work or not. Correct? But in contract employee you work hourly. You get paid per hour. How to track that? How to track those things? There are a few systems which were introduced before. One was Chrono. One was PeopleSoft Time Tracking. And SAP Time Tracking. SuccessFactors Time Tracking. They were the previous systems where people used to log in their hours. How many hours they have worked for a particular project, or how many hours they have logged for any of the work. They used to do it. But by the time the complex calculations comes into the picture, like I want to evaluate the overtime in such a way that if a worker is going beyond 9.5 hours and hasn't taken a break in the total day, then the overtime would be given. Or if a worker is working on a Sunday. But if the worker has any holiday in any of the week, then Sunday will not be categorized as overtime work. These are the complex calculations which came into the picture. And after that, Workday was one of the system or ERP system which has the abilities to solve these complex queries. And the time tracking came into the picture of Workday module, which was the story of Workday. Now, why time tracking is important? Like the first thing, like time tracking is interacting with other modules. Your payroll, your benefit, your finance and your stock listings. That is the reason. It is an important aspect how it is interacting with your payroll. You enter hours. I will not go the technicality right now because I want you to just listen how things interact. This is like something from the payroll standpoint of view. How it interacts, like you enter the hours. You enter hours in a bucket and that bucket is sent to the payroll. The payroll evaluates that bucket that hey, 4 hours has been worked under regular and then it gets paid. You enter more hours. More hours. Your bucket of water gets filled. Now you want another bucket. You bring the another bucket and that bucket is known as overtime. That bucket also gets full. And again that went to the payroll. And payroll evaluates that bucket and says that hey, this is overtime. Extra money should be given like 1.5 times of the base salary. That goes to the payroll and payroll evaluates that. After that you enter on a Sunday. And you work 7 days a week. Then your overtime bucket got full. Your regular hours bucket got full. Water keeps on flowing. Then you brought another bucket into the attention and that is known as 7-day premium. And that bucket is storing the water. And you give that water to payroll and payroll says that hey, it is 7 day. Then we will give 3 times the money of the base salary. I'll use a lot of time this word bucket. Bucket is you understand this. Storing hours in some storage space is known as bucket. Correct. The placeholder place where we store, that is known as bucket. I'll tell all the time. I'll say that this bucket all the time. Alright? This interacts with payroll. How it interacts with absence. You understand the term accrual, correct? Like you have gone through absence. I believe you will understand the word accrual. Accrual is time off. Time off has accrued. Accrued the hours, the balance. A system where you will enter hours and you will get balance in your time off. This is how time tracking works and interacts with absence. You enter hours, you submit hours, and you get the benefit. The way time tracking interacts. This is the way time tracking interacts with absence. You enter hours, you get submit, your manager approved it, and then it goes to the absence and you get a balance. This is how time tracking interacts with absence. We will see everything. Now fine. How it interacts with finance. You understand the word project. Oh, that's great. That's great. How it interacts with project in such a way that any company is starting any project. For example, I have a manufacturing company and I'm starting a manufacturing project in Dallas, Texas. I'm Walmart. I'm opening a new store in Dallas, Texas, and that there is one section of artificial intelligence. This is a project for me. And I am hired 90 consultants. 90 consultants and they are contractors from. Now I wanted to understand. That. What is the efficiency? I have allocated a money like for example 2 million to 2 million in that artificial intelligence. Now whenever they are entering time, my bucket of balances are getting deducted. The consultants are entering time and my balances are. My amount is getting deducted. This is the way this interacts with the finance in terms of cost allocation accounting. You can bid that. This employee has worked 90 hours and that is the reason he is getting this much of money. This is the way it interacts with your finance. You can see from the concept why time tracking is having a lot of dependency in Workday. Correct. Alright, that's great. Now in Workday, because we enter project hours, right? Correct? We enter project hours. Correct? Absolute. You enter the project hours. In that particular project, there is a cost allocation which has been there. Like money has actually been involved. That is the reason it's been catered in such a way. That's great. You're getting it. That's great. Now in Workday, what is the main essential thing for us to understand how the time tracking is enabled? Like is your system? Is your company is using Workday for time tracking? Or what is there in time tracking in your company? How to evaluate that? Now, for example, you got hired in any of the customer or a partner and they say that we are going to implement time tracking for our countries. Let's begin. Let's kick off the session. Let's see how it goes. As a consultant, as a HR is an analyst in the company, what is your moral duty? The first thing that you will do is go ahead and type on your Workday screen all functional areas. Type all functional areas. Go on the search bar and type all functional areas. This would be a moral duty. First, the moment you type all functional areas, you will see a different screen. You remove all and just add functional area. Functional area. You don't have the access area, only a. You know you have used absence on all those things. You see this area. Time and leave. This area. We are going to concentrate on this area all the time. Time and leave. All the time. We will be concentrating on this time. We are first. Let's see what does that enter? My time looks like. Click on enter my time. I see this a new window which is there in top of my Workday tenant. And this particular window is called time card. You must have heard a lot of time card, time card, time card. This particular window is known as time card. For 1 week. Mostly it is 1 weekly, right? For 1 week, we do the time entries on weekly basis. Because every week, like the hours is getting projected. You can have a look on, like if I see click on this action button, you can have a look on in particular day wise. If you want to make it, you can make it under day wise. This would look like this. A different look would come into the picture. This is a day wise look. These things are 7. What is the timing the entering? You have entered. This particular worker is the in and out worker. It means he enters the time on day basis, on the daily basis and on the hourly basis. What time he came, what time he went out. This is the in and out kind of a worker. Generally what people do have this screen in the on the place. Weekly why? Because they can see every week's work. The whole week. On the top right, you see a summary area. Whatever hours you are adding over here, it will automatically get reflected on these areas. And it will add what are non-project hours. Those hours which are non-project hours. This is a separate bucket. Any for example? Like when you are doing supports. If you are doing support, if you are doing training, those would be categorized as non-project hours. You can see in the screen itself, if I click on any of the day, like Monday, I click on Monday. There will be another screen popping up once. Wait for a while. This is a time type. This is a bucket where you are storing hours. Time type is always a bucket. Click on that. You see, there are a lot of things. Most recently used project and time entry course. Time entry course is basically which bucket you want to enter the time. For example, I added administrative. I entered my hours from like add over here. On the hours itself, add 4 hours. Is the time type configurable? Time type is your bucket. We can configure it right. Custom configuration, correct, everything. We can configure everything. I'll show you. You will configure everything This is the company's time type. This is the administrative time type. I added 6 hours. Click. And automatically you'll see here. There is a change in your screen. There will be a change. When you enter time, is there any business process that triggers the time? When we submit time, then the business process comes into the picture. Entering time. Just entering time does not trigger any business person when we submit. When we say that, hey, go away. Then the business process comes into the picture. This is the concept. You see, I added hours in 6 days over here. You see there is a reflection of hours on summary. Now do one thing. Add same hours administrative on Thursday. Any of your favorite hours. Just add on Thursday. Did you see a training? It's a little slow. No worry. No worry. Let's wait. You have added. Now understand. You see on the top right, you see the data dynamic changes. Total non-projected hours 14 hours. Now understand, this is a concept. What is administrative? What is training? These are separate buckets. The company has stated separate time codes that this is your training hours. This is your administrative hours, your amount of hours you're putting on a particular week. Company can track and audit that, and they can evaluate your efficiency accordingly from evaluating your time card. Correct? And they can see if you have some bandwidth, they can give you another work. Correct? That is the reason this time card has an important. Now, when you go on the bottom right review section and click, no, not like that. When you click over here and click submit. Then the business process is triggered. If you see over here, view details. Go to view detail. Go to view detail. You see in approval for manager, click detail. In progress process, enter time is business process. Enter time is business process. Correct? 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 This is the business process which gets triggered whenever you enter time. When we are doing the spring strike in agile technology, they will. They will also add some of the timings for the spring. Whatever the tasks they are working on that particular. That is on project hours. You enter your hours. If you want to integrate your Rally or Jira, like whatever hours you're putting on any sprint or any task, you can do in Workday, and that is a specific part of Workday Finance. This sprint, you're working this many of hours in your next sprint. You're working on this things that is actually taken care and handled in your Workday Finance. It's not in work. And once we have task and project configured in Workday Finance, then it comes to us time tracking experts who configure those tasks and everything in your time tracking. And that has a validity, like from 2 weeks. This task will pop up on your time card. And after that it will expire. That is the concept which it works and Workday time tracking. That this is the basic thing. We just saw time and drain on, but this is not. This is not the entire thing. We need to know what is the background of this configuration of why she has a time card. How can she see a time card? Why time tracking? The first thing is, what is time tracking? How time tracking is there in the system? How to evaluate this? In order to evaluate this, we always have to go to the functional area and see filter time tracking. And if it is enabled, which means your system, your ERP system, your company has subscribed to Workday Time Tracking module. Correct? That is going to be done. What is your homework for the day would be open your Workday tenant. First tell this folks to give you the super user access. Once you have the super user access, open functional areas and filter only time. Filter with time and see what are the functional areas you're getting. What are the business processes which are associated with time? Only time tracking. And you will have to read those things and get back to me. Explore the things in Workday. Don't read anything. Don't go Google it anything. Google, you will not find anything. Read, explore in Workday in your tenant. I won't find anything. Get back to me. Meanwhile, this is the like. What are we going to achieve now? First, we are going to understand the concept. Like, what is time tracking, the first thing? Then, what are the pillars of time tracking? How time tracking structure gets implemented in Workday. That is the second thing. Third, we are going to create this time code. This administrator and training thing. The third thing we are going to do. After that, we are going to understand what is schedules, work schedules. Work schedule is little different. Work schedule is what is a working hours and which days you are working. That is work schedule. What days you're working, what time you're working, what is a break hour, when are the days you're working. That is work schedule. That is a work schedule. We are going to learn about time and template. These are like advanced things we will read and we would go through at the later stage of the classes. First, we are going to understand the concept. What is this? And after that, we are going to cover each and everything slowly. We are not going to do it in a hurry. We ask questions, interrupt me at any given point of time. While we are having session, by 4. Thank you. Please do like, share and subscribe to our channel.